Hey girl, I hope you're here for the tea because today I'm going to be talking about books that I have DNF'd and why I DNF'd them. So shit talking. Yeah. Basically, kind of takes a lot for me to DNF a book. And I only really consider it DNFing if I feel like I've committed to it in some way. So like if I log something on my Goodreads, that is a commitment to me. Like that is how I make my commitment. If I've gotten to the point where I'm going to put it as currently reading on Goodreads, then I'm in, because I don't like to have that list all clogged up like it is right now. Yeah. Or if I've done something like check it out of my borrow it from the Hoopla library that I use. Yeah, I don't like to not honor those commitments. So I'm just really loyal to my choices. That's not what it is at all. And you're gonna understand that that's not what it is at all by how I talk about these books, probably. So I don't know if I want to start. I'm gonna start with the Hoopla ones because they're all random. So like they're not in any chronological order. So let's see. Okay, one of the principal reasons I will DNF a book is if I'm not going to work that hard for this. Like, for example, the first one is The Sign of the Four by Sir Arthur Conan Doyle. And I started this because I had a huge Agatha Christie phase this fall and winter. Love her. I love a good mystery. And so I was like, I would totally dig Sherlock. Like, let's get into some Sherlock. I am not working that hard for that. I don't care. I don't care. Same thing for The Scarlet Letter. I don't care. I'm not working this hard for this. Yeah. Yeah. And I feel like I've gotten to a point now with my reading where I used to my reading habits have changed a lot. Like I used to be really picky about what I would read, because I was like, I'm only going to get to read so many books in this lifetime. Realistically, there is a finite amount of books that I will be able to read. I'm not going to waste my time reading books that I don't enjoy. So a lot of times I would not even I've just recently this year gotten to a point where I would even choose to try and read a book that I think might be more difficult than I might necessarily enjoy. But now I've gotten to a point this year now that I'm reading more books, more frequently, averaging 10 books a month. I'm more willing to try some new things and let's give it a go. I don't have to like every book I've read in my life. That would kind of be, I would have to be no opinions, to like every book I've ever read. So, I will try to read these books at a time that I feel like I could take it. Coming off of a 5-star read where I've got a lot of momentum and I'm like, okay, let's try it. I'm in a mood and a mode to do this. And no. Kind of the same thing happened with The Invisible Man. Which is weird. I used to love H.G. Wells when I was younger, and I kind of was into the story, but I just it seems interesting. Do I want that to be what I'm reading? I'm not excited enough or invested enough in the people or what's going on to really be into it. I think that's what happened, at least. I will say that The Invisible Man was not a case of I'm not working that hard for this. I don't think. Actually, as you can tell by the way I'm talking about it, I don't know. Maybe it was. Because I feel like I spent, there were some of these, The Scarlet Letter and Sign of the Four, I read maybe 4 pages, one sitting. And I was like, yeah, we're not doing that. The Invisible Man I came back to a couple times. So, I don't know what happened there, but it clearly wasn't worth it to me. As a matter of fact, I could go in my Goodreads right now and it'd be you did finish that book. And I would be like, oh, crazy. None of my business. Next I have I Hope That I Don't Fall in Love with You by Harper Bliss. And I can tell you that I didn't finish that because, first of all, romance cheeses me out quickly. The cliches get me quickly, and I tap out very fast, is what I'm trying to say. And in order to combat that, I like to read lesbian romance because I think, oh, dudes corn me out quicker than women do, you know? Like a woman could do something, a woman and a man could both do the same thing, and the woman could do it, and I'd be like, uh-huh, and the guy could do it, and I'd be like, get away, you know? So, lesbian romance. And it's still my threshold for cheesiness, my threshold for the cliches is not up there. I don't have it yet. Maybe one day I'll get there. I'm working on it. I really am I've been saying this the whole time I've been making these videos. I'm working on the romance thing, okay? I know it's a problem. I'm not proud of it. Next we have 101 essays that will change the way you think. I'm gonna come back to this one eventually. I'm gonna try. I have heard such good things about this book, and I love essays. I made a point to to buy a physical copy of this book because I was like, I'm gonna want to highlight things. Like, this book is gonna change the way I think. I bought it. Everything that I've highlighted, like the first like 3 to 4 pages, are like question marks and like WTFs, and like arguments against the points they're making in the book. So my thinking is maybe if I listen to the audiobook along with it, or maybe if I listen to the audiobook and if I get a little nugget of wisdom, I can go back and highlight it. Just like maybe hearing the inflection of the narrator will help me. Like an actual performance with it will help me actually enjoy it, because I am far from that right now. Yeah, did not love her. Next we have Into My Goodreads currently reading, and she goes pretty far back. Actually, I think these are at least starting in like 2018 that are on here, which is kind of crazy. You would think I would have had more, whatever. The first one is At the Existentialist Cafe by Sarah Bakewell. And it's kind of frustrating because this book I read for a while. I have read like at least half of it, but I'm almost certain that it's one of those things where I was not processing a single word on the page. I remember reading this when I first started at Troy, and I went to the like theater camp that all of the high schoolers go to before, and being surrounded by theater kids for the first time in my life. I did not, like, when people on Twitter would be like, theater kids, which, don't get me wrong, love theater kids. Tyler's a theater kid. I love them. But like initial exposure, and I was 21, and I was like reading my at the Existentialist Cafe during lunch, not talking to anyone. You can ask my friends now that try to talk to me at those tables, because yeah, that's where I was. And not processing a word of it, I can promise you. I didn't know what was going on. That was my wannabe philosophy stage. I'm so glad I grew out of that. Next I have Hell's Angels by Hunter S. Thompson. I went through a big Hunter S. Thompson phase. Loved Rome Diary, loved Fear and Loathing. Who doesn't? I don't know why I didn't finish this book, actually, Hell's Angels, because I remember it being like vaguely interesting. Maybe it just didn't take off quick enough for me, because that's another thing. If it doesn't take off quick enough, if it doesn't get me invested quick enough, I'm out. There are so many books in the world. I just can't be doing things like that. I Sing the Body Electric and Other Stories by Ray Bradbury. Also went through a huge Ray Bradbury phase. This was a library book. I remember, I think I just didn't finish it by the time I had to check it back in. And when it's short stories, I'm like, I finished the last story I was reading. Like, I'm not invested enough in this to recheck it out or something. We have Blink and the Power of Thinking Without Thinking by Malcolm Gladwell. I feel like I also went through a large Malcolm Gladwell phase, and I think that some of the points that he made in this book contradicted some of the points he's made in other books that I had read. And so I was like, I think I'm done. Like, I went through a big phase with him, and I think that was me just like, waking up. Galapagos by Kurt Vonnegut. Huge Vonnegut fan still. I would have to say she probably just didn't take off because I have no idea what that book's about. I don't know. Rage by Richard Bachman or Stephen King. This one was controversial, and I did not know that when I read it for the first time as probably like 13 to 15 year old. On my Kindle, my very first Kindle. And I feel like I still remember where I left off. I don't know why I didn't finish it. I think actually that Kindle got crushed under a stack of books. So that's irony for you. But I think that's why I haven't finished the book, because I just lost my spot and I haven't found a copy of it in the wild. Like, I don't have access to that book. So I haven't finished it. It's kind of crazy because it's been years. I mean, like I said, 13 to 15, that's been at least like 12 years. Crazy. Artist's Way, A Spiritual Path to Higher Creativity by Julia Cameron, my bad. This is an interesting one because people sing the praises of this book, and I did not have a terribly profound experience with it. I don't know if I read it at the wrong time. I think I read it during COVID, and I also got pretty deep in. I think it was during COVID, and I was trying to read like a chapter a day. I was still in school at the time too, and then I went through a breakup, so like there's a number of things that could have interrupted it, but it was also like, oh my God, I don't care. Oh my God, I don't care. This is not helping me. I don't care. You know? I feel like if I'm deep into a book and I DNF, it's that's the reason why, that I'm just like, oh my God, I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. Like angry, I don't care. That's kind of how I felt with Midnight Library. I almost DNF'd it just because I was like, I don't care. I don't care. I don't care. The main character really pissed me off, and that's like, all of that would have been towards her, not towards the author. Well, maybe, but anyway, I felt that way about Artist's Way, which is interesting because at least one of the concepts from it I still use every day. The morning pages concept, I still do. Like, I've been doing it since COVID, so like 4 years now. And I love it, and it's added so much to my life. So I also feel like there's a distinct possibility that I was getting the wisdom that's in that book at a time that I wasn't ready to receive it. I don't know if now's that time either. So we will see. Maybe one day. I don't know. I also feel like listening to it was not the best choice. I feel like there's a better way to access it. Women by Charles Bukowski. I don't know if I've ever read a word of this book, actually. Basically, I've never read any Bukowski, and I have always been curious about him, and I knew that book would make me decide if I loved him or hated him. So that was the book that I chose. And I guess I was committed enough to that endeavor to put it on my Goodreads, but not committed enough to that endeavor to actually read the book, because I don't know where I accessed it. Like, I don't know if I checked it out from the library or if I had a physical copy, or like how committed I was to this, because I don't remember opening a page. Library of Souls, which is the third book in the Miss Peregrine's Peculiar Children trilogy. I don't know what it is. Series. First and foremost, I do not do well with series. Like, the book that I'm reading right now just had a weird story arc, and I'm like, at one point, like halfway through the book, where what I feel like was the climax happened, I was like, oh my God, is this a series? Like, this is incredible. I need more of it. Now I'm like 80% in, and I'm like, like, I don't care. Like, figure it out, wrap it up. So I don't know, weird relationship to series, which I know is not a popular take, but I don't know. I just like, in the same sense that like there's so many books, why would I waste my time with one I don't enjoy? There's so many worlds to be in. Committing to one seems insane, which is like so indicative of like reading as a tool to like for escapism. But I guess I am who I am. Like, what can I do about that? Next, I have, Library of Souls. I don't even remember. I don't know. I think I just lost steam. That's the thing with the series. I just lose steam. I lose, like, all the investment that I had. I just don't care. And I'm pretty sure when I left those kids, they were, like, deserted on a boat or something. But I'm just like, you poor little weirdos. I'm sorry. I don't care. I just don't care. And if I can't care about, like, a bunch of little weirdo kids, what can I care about? Me personally. If I don't care about that, what do I care about? Who am I? The Thin Man by Dashiell Hammett. Oh, maybe I know what that's about. don't think I do. I don't know. Maybe I feel like, yeah, no clue. No clue where that came from. Me and Orson Welles by Robert Kaplow. I don't know why I didn't finish that, because I was interested in it as a concept. It was really fun. It was like, this guy like randomly gets to work with Orson Welles. He's just like a normal guy, not involved in like theater or anything, and he has the opportunity to work around Orson Welles and see him work. Fascinating. But that's all I remember. Honestly, though, I don't even know when I was reading these at this point. Like, we're past 2020, but like it could have been any time between now and then. And it was small, and so is The Thin Man. These were like small books that I just didn't finish. That's the other thing. If I can't finish your tiny ass book, I mean, what does that say? You know? The Stand by Stephen King. A moment of silence. This is like something like a 48-hour audiobook. Like, it's large, and I famously am not great at listening to audiobooks that have a narrative. Like, that's why I like to listen to nonfiction audiobooks. Yeah, and I got like 25 to 30 hours in and called it. I don't really even know why. I think I don't use Audible very much. I think I had it on Audible. But I think I just like, I don't. It was a good book. I would probably have loved it if I had a physical copy of it. And like, I still care about those characters too. I'm still curious about like where they are. But like, yeah, I just, don't make me work that hard for it. It's Stephen King. It's not even like he's Charles Dickens out here, but he's writing like he is. Like, come on, dude. I know you're not getting paid by the word. I have some pent-up aggression about that one at the end. 2001: A Space Odyssey, also a small one that I can't imagine why I wouldn't have finished, other than I could not get invested in it quick enough. Another Roadside Attraction by Tom Robbins. Now, here's the tea. Tom Robbins is one of my favorite authors of all time. He wrote one of my favorite books of all time. Let's put it that way. Because of all the books of his that I've read, there's only like 2 or 3 that like I really enjoyed that weren't, I can't even think of an appropriate adjective to describe how wretched they are to get into. And I don't know if it's me. Like, I don't know if it's the expectations because of him writing one of my favorite books ever. I don't know what the deal is, but hey, we got to work on it. Next, we have Signs, The Secret Language of the Universe by Laura Lynn Jackson. This was just entirely not what I thought it was going to be. I thought this was going to be some like energy worker, chakra cleansing, dirty hippie lady telling me about like how the universe speaks to you, and in a Jungian way telling me what the meaning of these signs are that you might see. Like, why historically do we believe that a cardinal is a past loved one? Like, what are the roots of that? Where did that come from? You know, that's kind of more of what I was looking up for. You know, when you said the secret language of the universe, I thought, yeah, that's not what I got. And this is more of like I can't remember if it was quite religious. I think it might have been. Talking about signs, it was just like examples of people who have had their loved ones or somebody that has passed send some sort of sign. It was just a bunch of examples, which gets to a point with me. I don't like that in like any type of book. for example, like in Before the Coffee Gets Cold, like all the little vignettes that are just like, oh, these are just like sweet little tales. What do you mean? Sweet little tale. That's where I have the issue. If it's a short tale, I don't have enough time to like get invested in these characters. And so what it becomes is a cliche to me. And that's what a lot of these signs felt like. And that's what that book felt like to me too. You Are a Badass, How to Stop Doubting Your Greatness and Start Embracing or Living Your Awesome Life by Jen Sincero. Hot take. I love this book, actually. And this was just on here from a time that I was rereading it. Also, though, I feel like I loved it because I listened to the audiobook. And, like, I don't know. I just feel like the audiobook is a way to experience a lot of these, like, nonfiction, self-help type of books. That was definitely the case with this one for me. But, yeah, that's, like, my guilty pleasure. I'm like, don't tell anybody, but I love that book. Next we have Audition, Everything an Actor Needs to Know to Get the Part by Michael Shurtleff. It's funny because I found this book on like a $1 rack at a Dollar General on vacation in Florida, and here at the Barnes & Noble in the Grove in Los Angeles, it's got like its own table and it's just full of copies of this book. Oh my God, I just spilled my tea on my new pants. I don't know what to do. Sorry, Salem. Okay, I think this just needs to be dealt with immediately. Okay, of course, the very first time I ever wear these white ass pants. We're coming up on the current books. That's right, Audition, Everything an Actor Needs to Know to Get the Part. This one's technically not a DNF because I do consider myself to still be reading this book. It has a lot of interesting and what I hope is still valuable information. It was written a long time ago, so like the audition landscape looked totally different. So it's like, I don't know how helpful this even is, but the author includes a lot of anecdotes about his experience as a casting director and like interesting choices he's seen actors try, interesting choices he'd wish that actors had made. That honestly is my favorite part. Next, we have Yule, the ultimate guide to the winter solstice and its celebrations. Stella's begging me to play. Just laid this on top of the tripod. Go get it. I started Yule, but during Christmas time, I was going through a phase with like pagan traditions. Just gotta know everything, you know? Does anybody else ever do that? Where you're like, I have to know everything? No? Just me? Anyway, went through that phase. Christmas ended and it passed quickly. So I don't feel like I learned a lot though. And it was an audiobook. I feel like sometimes nonfiction books are not written to be compelling. They're just written to have information. That book was not written to be compelling. Next, I have War of the Foxes by Richard Steichen. This is a book of poetry. And I started this after I kept seeing a bunch of his tweets on, like, made into memes. So I was like, this guy seems cool. And I'm vibing with his, you know, views. But I also am famously not great with poetry. I just don't have it's just not what I'm looking. I have to be in a very, very, very specific headspace to be into poetry. That's all. And I probably would like this book of poetry if I was ever in the mood to read a whole book of poetry. It's just so rare that I'm going to be in the headspace to read poetry that that would happen for long enough for me to finish a book of it. That's a tall order. And last, the book that made me want to read or make this video is Tender as the Flesh by Augustina Basterica. Also, disclaimer, I listened to the audiobook. Interesting concept. The concept was not enough to make me care. That's just, it could not keep me in there. And I was really disappointed because this one was hyped to hell and back. To hell and back. But yeah, I could not get into it. So the pattern is I don't care. I'm not working that hard for this. And if I'm not into it by now, I'm never going to be, essentially. But yeah, if you have any other hot takes on books you've DNF'd, what is your relationship to them? I wish I was less, I feel like I'm a girl talking about relationships. Like, I wish I didn't commit so easily. I wish I didn't get so attached, but I do get attached to my books. And so I wish I didn't care enough and that I could DNF like so often that I wouldn't be butthurt when I had to do it. You know what I mean? Like, clearly I have a vengeance for all these books. They've wronged me in some way. They cheated on me when really it was like I left them. So, I would love to be that girl. I don't think I'm going to get there until I start just like DNFing constantly, but it still bothers me to do. So maybe one day, but anyway, thank you for listening. Thank you for watching. I hope you had a good time, and check out some of my other videos. I've got a lot. This is not my typical content, just like talking at you. So this was fun, different thing to just like gab. And yeah, I hope you enjoyed.